Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am making two cards quite similar to celebrate the birth of a little baby. So first of all I will be doing some smooshing today using some watercolor paper therefore and some distress inks. So I'm making a card for maybe a boy and also for maybe a girl. So I am just smushing the inks on top of this plastic bag and now I am spritzing some water on top of it, and I will be putting my paper down in it, heat set it, dry it a bit, and then keep smushing it until I am happy with the result on my watercolor paper. So the reason for these cards are that my colleague is pregnant and she's almost there. She will normally be giving birth on the 9th of February, but maybe she will go in labor a bit earlier. And we did a poll at our company on what it is going to be, a little girl or a boy, what the name will be and when it will be born. So I am sure of it that it will be a girl. So actually I was planning on just making one card, but you never know. And because I might be out of time at that certain moment when she is in labor, I decided to make two cards to be sure. So one of these cards is going to my colleague, but I'm hoping for a little girl, because she already has a little boy at her house, so it would be nice if she had just one child of each gender, I think. So I'm hoping for a girl, and we also had to give the name of the baby, and therefore I chose Lou. And as you probably know, it's also a name that you can use for both genders, so maybe I have two chances if it would be a boy in the end. But so I'm thinking of Lou, and I think that she will be going into labor the 9th of February as she's due, but that she will push on until the morning of the 10th of February. So it's just what we are currently doing at work, trying to guess when the little baby will be there, and it's so exciting for us as well. It's so strange. It's the first time because I am only working since September, so it's the first time that I have a colleague of mine that is pregnant that I know of and will be giving birth, and it's just really exciting. So I am now busy with my second color for the baby girl's card. And now I will lay everything aside after this final dab. And I will continue on my images. For the stamping, I decided to use the Wish Upon a Star from Mama Elephant, and I'm stamping it out on Strathmore Bristol Smooth with my Ink on 3 Fadeout Noline Coloring Detail ink twice because I'm making two cards. But I'm going to color with my Sizzix Clean Color Real Brush markers, and I think that the result on Strathmore Bristol Smooth is just the best. So I'm always using that sort of paper when I'm coloring with my Sizzix. During the coloring I will be putting on some music, but just for those who aren't familiar with my channel, when I'm doing some Noline coloring with my Sizzix, I first trace the edges of the images and then I blend it out using my blender or a wet paintbrush if you don't have a blender, and then I continue with another color. If I am done with the other color, I go back in with my first color, on the other part of the image so that I can create more depth by adding some more ink on top of it, and then I just blend it out once more until I'm happy with the depth created and the blending. So I will also be listing the colors on the screen so that you can see which colors I'm using, but it's really basic. Not many colors are used for these images, and I hope you like the coloring process. I will be back afterwards. Now that the coloring is done, I will continue with die cutting these images using the matching dies from the set. I'm using some purple tape to prevent the die from moving so that it cuts at the right spots, and then I can play with the design of the card. So for my panel, I decided to take the basic rectangles from Mama Elephant, the largest one, to die cut an A2 size rectangle out of my watercolor paper. And as you can see here, there is also a greeting already on my design. It's from New Family from Mama Elephant, and these are just amazing stamps to use for a little baby and to welcome a little baby, so decided to match these two stamps. As you can see, my watercolor paper warped quite a bit, but by die cutting it already once, it's already flattened a bit more. But I will be using some adhesive sheets from Sizzix later on to flatten it even more onto my card base. So the sentiments I am going to emboss with white embossing powder. So I'm placing it into my Misty so that I can stamp it multiple times to get a really good impression. I will be using some Versamark clear embossing ink for that, and then I will be using my Nuvo embossing powder called Glacier White. It's one of my newer whites. I have only two whites, being from Ranger and from Nuvo. And with the Nuvo one, I experience always a really smooth result, which I really like. So I'm using it for these cards. So as I told you before, to flatten out my watercolor paper, I am using these adhesive sheets from Sizzix, and I'm just trimming it down to what the size is from my panel. This way it's much more flattened, so I'm doing it for both cards. And then I will be adding everything onto this panel. So for my images I decided to use some thin foam squares first, but then I found this roll of foam tape, and it's a really cheap one from a local store, but I just never use it because I have those adorable foam squares from scrapbook adhesives which I really adore. The height of this foam tape is the same as from the thin foam square, so that's good, but I really wanted to use this tape so that it can be completely empty, and then I can just continue with using the foam squares without any trouble. But just for now it was a bit fiddling with everything, but it worked out fine. Now that my images are adhered, I decided to add some final details, and I was thinking of these stickers, but they didn't match. And then I thought about my sequins that I have from Little Things from Lucy's Cards. I really adore them, and these are the Itty Bitty stars, the matte gold ones. This way I wanted to match with the golden star that I had colored in. So I'm scattering these stars all around, and then I will adhere them using some Gina K Design Connect glue and my quick stick. Before adding this panel onto a card base, I decided to add some glitter onto the moon, and I first thought about this glitter pen from L'Enfant, but that didn't work as quick as I was hoping for, so I took my Wink of Stella and I added it onto the moon and also to the stars. So next up I am prepping my card base with my stamp on the back, and also making sure that I trim off all the small excesses from the cutting of this panel to the right size, and then I have to adhere my panel on top of these card bases. So that will finish off my 2 cards. I really hope that you like this design. I'm also hoping for a little girl, but we have a backup card, so no worries. If you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. If you have suggestions or you want to see a specific sort of card, you can always leave it down below as well. And if you don't mind and you like this video, you can also give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and for stopping by at my channel. I am hoping to see you next time. Bye!